Hey everyone, Bruce Adib-Yazdi here, running for City Council Zone 4. If you're not familiar with Zone 4, it's essentially everything south of Sunshine and east of Campbell, so the southeast quadrant of the city. I'm really interested in creating stronger neighborhoods through long-range neighborhood plans, as well as higher density and development within our city along the arterial corridors and commercial districts. So I would put what I've done in Springfield and for the city in a couple of categories. One is really along the lines of bicycles, greenways, and those kinds of things. I worked really hard in the early 2000s to get our city designated as a bicycle-friendly community with a lot of other advocates. We were able to do that in about an 8-year period. More bicycle routes, more bicycle lanes, more connectivity, things like that. And then with Ozark Greenways, spent some time with them doing the same thing, and then gravitated to downtown and sat on the CID board, just making downtown clean, safe, and friendly. So from a community-based perspective, those are some things I've accomplished. A little bit about me. I am an architect. I also work for a real estate development company, and I'm a neighborhood association president. But beyond all that, I'm a citizen of Springfield. I've lived here 35 years. I met my wife, Joyce Eichen, in 1993, and we quickly became best of friends and then married a couple of years later. She's a Springfield native and lived up on Grant Street most of her life and has never lived any further than Fairgrove. So I get a good perspective of what the history of Springfield is about. But I also get a chance to see what the future of Springfield can be. And I feel like we have a great opportunity in front of us right now with the new comprehensive plan and a new zoning code and fresh ideas on how we can grow this city. I always knew from an early age that I was going to be an architect. My uncle was an architect, and I don't know if that influenced me or not, but in high school I ended up taking drafting and shop classes, which were very instrumental in learning how to draw things and make things, and then gravitated really quickly to understand that out of high school I wanted to go to architecture school, and ended up at Louisiana State and graduated from Louisiana State with an architecture degree. Worked down there for a little bit, and then my mom's side of the family is from the Ozarks, and so I ended up migrating back up to this part of the country and meeting my wife, Joyce, on a bicycle ride. And I worked in an architecture firm here in Springfield for 23 years as a young architect, as a partner. And then I left that firm in 2013 to start up a development company with a few folks here in Springfield, the Vicino Group. And so I've been here 12 years, and we're doing affordable housing projects all over the country. We've had 6 controversial projects in Zone 4 in the last several years. And I think most of those could have been avoided with a few very early communications among the right groups. And one of the things I learned doing projects all over the United States, going into communities that I was not a part of, was the first thing you do is you go talk to people, understand what the situation is. What are the things that might be triggers? What are the things that the community might need? And so I think that's one of the things I've learned over my career is to go listen first, hear what some of the issues are, know who the stakeholders are, get to understand them, their positions, and then work on developing a project that can respond to that. I think that's what's not happened here in Springfield. I think there's been poor communication among stakeholder groups. I think there's been misunderstandings because of that, and the misunderstandings become, word wars among them. And so one of the things I want to bring to the table is being the facilitator in those conversations. It seems like there's a vacuum right now where neighbors and developers talk, but they don't really talk, they just fight. And there's nobody at the table sort of keeping the peace and understanding where there is common ground, where are there differences, and how can we solve some of the differences and build on the common ground. And I feel like my work across the country in multiple cities and locations and different stakeholder groups. Well, as you know, I ran a couple of years ago and got really close. My impetus for that race was the new zoning code and the new forward SGF comprehensive plan, because those are really 2 important documents. that have been generated and being worked on. When I didn't win, I thought to myself, well, what else can I do? So I got involved with my neighborhood association and also started a new nonprofit here in Springfield, the Urban Land Institute. And so, but when the second 2 years rolled around and it was time for another election, I told everybody I was not interested, and I thought I had run my race. But when I realized that the current incumbent had not put his name in the hat yet, and had a few people kind of push me a little bit and continue to prod me, I went and talked to my therapist. But first I talked to my wife, and she was fully supportive. But my therapist looked at me and said, so why do you want to run? And I said something to the effect of, well, I think it's a calling. And she said, well, you said it, and I didn't say that. So you said it, so you must need to do it. So, but I really think it's time for us to think of our city more like a city than a big town, a small city rather than a big town. And I just don't see that happening. I want to bring that from an architectural, a development, design perspective to our city council and have that expertise on council. So I appreciate your vote on April 8th. Thank you.